Coming up on BG24 Sports, the university announced the new men's head basketball coach late last week. We'll hear from the new coach and a few players.
And we'll also talk about how this move can affect the Bowling Green program.
Plus, baseball hit the diamond this weekend, taking on Western Michigan. We'll go over that series and the upcoming stretch against MAC teams. All this and more coming up right here on BG24 Sports.
It's un-Falcon believable coverage that you won't get anywhere else. This is BG24 Sports.
Welcome to BG24 Sports. I'm Katie Wernke.
And I'm Terry Lash. And this week, Bowling Green announced new head coach Michael Huger as the 17th men's basketball coach in the program's history.
My very first meeting, I found a man who didn't want to just be a head coach. I found a man who doesn't think that BGSU is special because of a fantastic building or a game-changing endowment. I found a man who has prepared his entire adult life to be your 17th head men's basketball coach here at BGSU. I found a man who has a tremendous mentor of his own in Coach Jim Larinaga, a man whose life experiences have led him back to this university and to this community. Michael Huger is that man.
I am thrilled and honored to be named the 17th head men's basketball coach at my alma mater, Bowling Green State University. I just remember the games that we played at Anderson. The place was packed from, you name it, whoever we played, we had a great crowd. I want to get that atmosphere back here at the Stroke. And I think the way we do that is through the crowd. We got to get the community back, we got to get the students back, faculty, staff, whatever it takes to get it back. And you guys will do a great job in helping us, and that's what we need. That's what we need to take the program forward. We need your support, everybody coming back and just enjoying the atmosphere. It'll be a fun place, and we'll play a fun style of basketball, up-tempo, where you guys will enjoy and the crowd will enjoy, and we're just going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun, so I'm looking forward to that.
So, Terry, it's been sort of a rough time for the Bowling Green men's basketball program after Chris Jans. All of the things that went down with Chris Jans, and then hurrying up to try and find a new coach before this off-season stretch. How do you think the Falcons handled this, the athletic department as a whole handled everything that went down?
I think they did a great job of handling the situation because they were put in a very tough spot, Katie. They had one of the coaches that brought them to their best season in about a decade in Coach Jans, and then he put him in a really tough spot by making his off-the-court conduct, and now they got a hometown guy, a guy that played at Bowling Green State University. I think it was a good decision by the athletic administration. I
completely agree. They made a very swift decision in firing Chris Jans, and then also in bringing Michael Huger into this program. Like you said, a Bowling Green alum himself. Yes. He's coming back to Bowling Green to coach the Falcons. And I don't think it's a bad decision. If we take a look at Michael Huger, he has 10 years of collegiate coaching experience, 8 years coaching under Jim Larinaga, his coach at Bowling Green, and 4 straight winning seasons at Miami, which is where he was before Bowling Green now.
And you got to talk about this Miami, Florida basketball program, a team that was a #1 seed just a few years ago. We've seen some great players like Shane Larkin now in the NBA. That this guy has been with the cream of the crop of talent in the ACC, the mecca of college basketball. So I know he's a homegrown guy, but this isn't just some guy that we want to make sure the fans can relate to. This is a guy with a lot of talent, a lot of experience that he's going to bring that to the players, someone that they can relate to.
Absolutely, and talking about Miami even a little more this year. They beat 3 nationally ranked teams this year, including Duke. They snapped that 41 home game winning streak, which is the longest in NCAA history. So like you said, he has a lot of experience. Even though he was only an assistant coach, he still has that experience that he can bring to this program.
You're right, and also when he was at George Mason, you got to talk about a team made the Final Four within this last decade, one of the greatest Cinderella stories of all time. So he's been around winning programs his whole coaching career. So you got to like that confidence going into his tenure at Bowling Green.
Absolutely, those postseason experiences can really help him out here at Bowling Green, a team that's on the rise.
Very true.
But we did just talk about how Michael Huger did play at Bowling Green. Let's take a look at his time here at Bowling Green. He played from 1989 to 1993, 2 NIT appearances. He was the team MVP in 1993, MAC honors in 92 and 93. He was also a Naismith Award nominee.
And also a runner-up for MAC Player of the Year. This is a guy that was not only talented on the court, very talented off the court, in the classroom. I think he's going to bring that to these players as well, making sure they have their head on their shoulders and bring that solid head, that clarity to the court.
That is one thing that athletic director Chris Kingston did mention, was that he wanted a guy who did graduate from college. He wanted someone who can teach these guys how to be players, not only on the court but also off the court.
I think these are student athletes. The coach is not teaching them to be great basketball players, but they want to be great men for their future careers.
Absolutely. Now, when we come back, we are going to hear from a few of the players on the men's basketball team on what they think of this new coach. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, we just talked about how the university welcomed in head coach Michael Huger, rather, to the program. And what a turnaround that this men's basketball program had from 2 years ago to last season. And now let's take a look at the situation that Coach Huger is coming into. They were 22-12 last year, 4th place finish in the MAC, the first 20-win season since 2001 and 2002.
Also, the first postseason win since 1975. There's a lot of talent on this team that is losing. They're losing Anthony Henderson. They're losing Rashawn Holmes, the Defensive Player of the Year in the MAC. But I think the biggest key for Huger, as soon as he comes in, keeping the BG players here in Bowling Green. There's been rumors about Delvin Dickerson and Spencer Parker maybe wanting to transfer out of here. But I think if he can get a hold of them and convince them to stay, that's already going to show that he's capable of bringing in and keeping talent that he's going to need to in the future to recruit.
I completely agree that we really do need to look at the transfers, because they were recruited under Chris Jans. Jovan Austin, Delvin Dickerson, Pep Joseph. That was one concern that I had thought of when Coach Huger did come into this program, is what is he going to do with those recruits? But let's take a listen to what some of the players on the team now have to say.
I expect to do greater things than last year. I mean, we have a good team coming back and a great coach, so I have high hopes and expectations for us.
It's just like a sign of relief, really. It's a long process, and we're kind of just in the blind with it all, just for the better of everything. They can't really say too much about what's going on behind the doors, so finally we know what's going on, and we're just happy to have a head coach. And him being from here, it makes it even better.
How can Coach Huger take over what Chris Jans has started and really built up in this program?
Well, you got to keep that momentum going. We saw just a transformation of this basketball program last season with a lot of the same players that were already here under Coach Orr's campaign. But now with some of those players still here, they are losing great players, but they still have Pep Joseph, who, even though under top situations, can you imagine being recruited from junior college, convinced to go to Bowling Green, and then all of a sudden your coach is gone. For him to make a decision to stay like he has, that is pretty impressive, along with the rest of these players. And I think this is going to give him a situation to rally behind going into next year, motivate him to continue the success that they experienced last season.
Absolutely, and like you said, we did lose a lot of our leading scorers. And Anthony Henderson was one of the leading scorers, and Rashawn Holmes, and just a lot of key guys that we did lose. But it is going to be up to Zach Denny to really step up. He was the 3rd leading scorer on this team behind Javon Clark, and it's really going to be interesting to see as to how Michael Huger can step in and take over.
Well, there's talent there, Katie. That's for sure. You mentioned Zach Denny, who had a breakout year as a sophomore. And let's see what he can do going into his junior year. We're talking about a guy that didn't really see the court his freshman year. And last year, he became one of the best players on the team. Next year, maybe he can be that superstar that the team needs to rely on late in the game.
Absolutely. But let's now listen to what Coach Huger himself has to say about his plans for the team next year.
Our goal now is to win a MAC championship. We want to be the first team to get back to the NCAA tournament since 1968. It's a long time. It was something I didn't get a chance to enjoy as a player, but as a coach, been there several times. At George Mason, we were there. At Miami, we were there. It's a great feeling, and I want you guys to experience that feeling as a player. Because as a coach, words can't describe that. So I know as a player, you guys will love it. So definitely we want you on that journey with us.
Now, Terry, Coach Huger he just said that he had a lot of experience in the postseason coaching. I think expectations for Coach Huger are high coming into this program after Chris Jans already had some good recruiting guys, and they've built up this program already. I think that the expectations are high. Hopefully a MAC championship, maybe not yet, but maybe even just a higher finish in the MAC tournament would be good for Huger in his first year as coaching.
But I think we also have to be patient. We're recognizing that we're losing one of the best players in BG history in Rashawn Holmes. Even with Chris Jans, I think this would be a struggling team going into next year.
Absolutely. Now, after the break, we are going to switch it over to the Diamond. Baseball took on Western Michigan in a 3-game series. Stay with us.
Now, welcome back. Now, the BG baseball team had a MAC series against Western Michigan this weekend. The Falcons took 2 of 3 against the Broncos. And we'll go from some of the stats from this weekend. Falcons won the series 2-1, 19 runs over the weekend, 31 hits, finally got their bats going, and only 7 errors over the weekend. It was a third straight MAC series win.
Absolutely, and I think that we can definitely look past those 7 errors. While 7 is sort of a lot in 3 games at the collegiate level in baseball, that is their 3rd straight MAC series win. It puts them at 14-20 on the season. 14-20 on the season may not seem like that good of a stat, but it gets them to be 7-8 in MAC play, which is very good.
And this is a very close MAC East, only 2 games off the top from Kent State. So it's very important that the Falcons got this series victory against a Western Michigan team that I think a lot of people going into the weekend thought could possibly even sweep the Falcons. But finally, we saw the bats come out for Bowling Green, and you mentioned 7 errors. Not the greatest point, but a lot better than what the team's been doing earlier on this season. So you can definitely see the strides of improvement from this young team. Absolutely.
If we even go back to talking about earlier this season, they started out the year 4-6 in their first 10 games. And their last 10 games, they have been 7-3. And we also have to talk about Zach Carey. He pitched in Game 2 on Saturday, 9 innings pitched, 0 runs, 5 hits, 1 strikeout. That is the kind of pitching we need to see from these Bowling Green pitchers.
Really starting to prove that he's the ace of this rotation. Zach Carey did a great job, absolutely phenomenal this week. Anytime you can get a college pitcher to go all 9, putting up those type of numbers, you can't expect anything more out of your top guy.
Absolutely not. But now, if we take a look at the MAC standings, MAC East standings, Bowling Green sits 4th in those standings at 7-8, but like you said, Terry, very close to the top.
You're right. Akron right there at the top of Kent State as well. Northeast Ohio doing very well in the MAC standings so far, but Bowling Green, a team predicted to be 4th in the East this year, but are in striking position, ready to sink their talents into the competition, maybe climb back towards the top.
Absolutely, and they had played Ohio earlier this season. They took the series from Ohio, took the series from Miami. So they have faced some tough teams in this MAC conference, and they've been able to beat them.
And what you have to remember about this BG baseball team, they are very, very young, only 5 seniors on the squad. They're only going to get better throughout the season. You don't have to worry about some of the stamina concerns, and you can only think of a team that's going to improve as they get more experience.
Absolutely. Now, with that experience, we have to look at the upcoming schedule. The Falcons really have a chance to move ahead in the MAC East standings, going to Central Michigan and then Toledo, which Toledo is not being counted as a MAC game, but it's just good experience to play against these MAC teams for possibly later on in the tournament. But then they play Akron and then Kent State, and those are going to be 2 very important series for the Falcons.
Absolutely. That first week of May is the biggest stretch in the BG baseball season against the 2 teams at the very top. If they want to make any grounds back going into the MAC tournament, improve their seeding, they're going to have to win maybe one, maybe even both of those series against the Zips and against Kent State.
Absolutely, especially since Akron and Kent State are right at the top of the MAC East. They definitely need to come out strong in May, and they also need to finish out April strong. We can't forget about that series against Central Michigan.
Well, it's going to be a very exciting conclusion to the regular MAC baseball season. But when we come back, it is hot or not. Come back with us as we give you our takes on some of the biggest issues in sports.
Welcome back. It's time for a little game called Hot or Not. Terry and I have a topic, and we give you our opinion on whether they are
hot
or not. This week we have topics from Adrian Peterson to Tim Tebow and everywhere in between. But we are going to start out with BGSU Athletics, the state of Bowling Green Athletics. It's been a rough ride so far, Terry.
I'm going to go with hot, though, because BG Athletics are performing on the field and on the court at an all-time high, on the ice as well. We've seen some of the great seasons. Last 2 years, Bowling Green in the bowl system in football. We've seen the best season in basketball, a great season in hockey. Yes, some struggles off the court, but because of a great athletic administration, I say hot for BG Athletics.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to go with not, just because of the things that have happened in the last few months. You have Chris Jans, who had inappropriate conduct at the bar. He was fired. And now Nick Johnson from the football team being arrested for domestic abuse. or assault rather. I just don't. I think it's a rough ride for Bowling Green so far, so I'm going to go with not. But we're going to move it over to the NFL now. Tim Tebow coming back to the NFL. Hot or not, Terry?
Not. I know it's a big splash for the Eagles, and Tim Tebow, everyone's going to be rooting for behind him. That's been Tim Tebow fans all along. But he has no place in the NFL. He is not an NFL quarterback. The guy had a 48% completion when he was a starter. He tried him with the Patriots. They tried him with the Jets. He's never going to be hot.
Ouch, Terry. That's a little harsh on Tim
Never.
Tebow. I have to go with hot. Tim Tebow is hot. I think he's going to be a good quarterback for this Eagles team. I think with Sam Bradford coming into the mix, Sam Bradford has had extensive injuries to his knees, the ACL injuries. I think Tim Tebow is ready to take the reins. We also saw him come out in Denver and lead them to a playoff run. So Tim Tebow, definitely hot to come back into the NFL. But now, switching it over to another hot NFL topic, Johnny Football.
Yeah.
He is back with the Browns after rehab. Let's talk about his maturity there, Terry. Hot or not?
I'm going to go hot for his maturity level. I liked his statement he released. Of course, it had a little bit of premeditated. Of course, his handlers helped with it a little bit. But everyone struggles. They fall off the wagon sometime or another in their lives. Johnny has recognized that. I say you got to rally behind him and not throw him down the sewer so quickly as Browns fans.
See, Terry, I don't think I'm throwing him down the sewer, but I'm going to go with not. I think Johnny Football, he's very young. I still don't think that he has that maturity level that the NFL really needs to see in their quarterbacks and any of their players. While rehab may help him, I don't think that it is fully going to break the Johnny Manziel lack of maturity that we've seen in him.
Not throwing him in the sewer, but maybe just in the trash.
Maybe in the trash, not the sewer yet. But now, another NFL topic. It's just all NFL from here. The Eagles, free agency. Hot or not?
I'm going to go not. Very active team, by far the most active team in free agency, but they lost LaShawn McCoy for Kiko Alonso. I don't think that's adequate compensation. Sam Bradford, I don't know if his knees are ever going to recover. A good sign DeMarco Murray, but I don't know how well he fits the offense. It seems just a lot of boom or bust signing for the Eagles, and I'm saying they're a bust.
All right, Terry, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to go with hot. I think the Eagles' free agency moves have been hot. You said that they did get rid of LaShawn McCoy, which does hurt them, but they picked up DeMarco Murray. I think picking up Murray is a good choice. Picking up Tim Tebow is a good choice. You mentioned Sam Bradford. That's why they have Tim Tebow. I think that the Eagles' free agency moves have been very hot. But now our last NFL topic, Adrian Peterson, reinstated into the NFL with the Vikings. What are his chances of staying with the Vikings, hot or not?
I'm going to say not. I think that there's just been too much damage between Adrian Peterson and the Vikings. They want to go their separate ways. I think they're both going to be successful without each other, but they need a trade partner. I think maybe someone like the Cowboys could come in and fill that void.
You know what? I'm going to go with hot. I think that the chances of Adrian Peterson staying with the Vikings are very hot. They need Adrian Peterson, and I think Adrian Peterson will end up staying with the Vikings. It's really in the Vikings' hands. He has a contract through 2017 worth $12.75 million. The Vikings have the leverage here. Adrian Peterson could hold out, but he would lose that money. While he is 30 years old, the offense is really built around Adrian Peterson. So I think that the chances of him staying in Minnesota are very hot. But now, when we come back, we will have our picks of the week, so stay with us. Welcome back. We have 4 games this week to give you our picks of the week, baseball, hockey, and the NBA. And what makes our picks better than putting a little friendly competition into it? We have my picks, Terry's picks, and Studio Crew's picks for each game. After each week, we keep track of our records, and right now, I am still in the middle with a 16-12 record. Terry, he stayed in the lead at 18-10, and Studio Crew, they stayed at the bottom with 13-15. But first, our first pick now is Bowling Green baseball. They take on Youngstown State this week. I'm going with Bowling Green. After this series win against Western Michigan, I think they're poised to go into this game and take it against Youngstown.
I'm right there with you, Kate. I'm going with the Falcons as well. They look really hot right now. You have to go with the team that's playing so well.
All right, Studio Crew is also going with Bowling Green, a sweep across the board for the Falcons. Now we're going to move it over to hockey. It is the ECHL playoffs. The Walleye taking on Wheeling. I'm going to go with Wheeling because it's a tied series night right now, 1-1. They're going to West Virginia. Go in the first game, Wheeling won 2-1, and then the second game, though, it went in overtime. I think Wheeling is poised to take this one as well.
Our fish, our fight. Got to go with the Walleye, and I think they realize the urgency of this game. Is why they're going to play their best.
All right, Studio Crew is on my side with this one, Terry. They're going with Wheeling. They're going to try and follow the one who's been winning lately.
Nah.
So now moving over to the NBA, the Clippers and Spurs. I'm going to go with the Clippers in this one. I think that they're the hottest team going into the playoffs. I think they're going to take the series.
I'm going with the Spurs. You got to love the experience of Ginobili, Parker, Duncan, and Popovich. Can't root against the Spurs.
All right, Studio Crew, I guess they're going to follow you on this one, Terry. They are also going with the Spurs. And now the other NBA game that we are going to pick, the Warriors and Pelicans. I'm going to go with the Warriors. 2 words, Terry. Steph Curry.
I'll give you 2 more words. Oracle Arena. There's no way that they can lose in that building.
All right, and Studio Crew is also going with the Warriors. We have 2 sweeps across the board, the Falcons and then the Warriors. That is our picks for the week, and that is all for BG24 Sports tonight. Check us out for more videos on YouTube.
And follow us on Twitter and Instagram. I'm Terry Lash.
And I'm Katie Warnke. Have a great night.